and welcome to a brand new episode of Never Seen It. My name is Betsy. I'm here with Trent.
Hey, everybody, we're back.
We're back. It's now July of 2026. We took a few weeks off, a first for us. We've never missed a Sunday. So we hope you've enjoyed our little sneak previews of our Patreon episodes that we've been putting out.
But now we're back fresh as a daisy, ready to talk to you about movies we haven't seen.
And in that spirit, we're bringing back a series that we've done. This will be the fifth one, Trent.
I think so.
5 years in a row. It's our Decade series. We have selected a movie from 1966, 76, 86, and so on. Every 10 years, all the numbers ending in 6 until present day. So today we're kicking things off in 1966 with a movie that Trent has never seen, and oddly enough, I have also never seen.
I had to ask you a couple of different times in the course of this, asking, are you sure you haven't seen this movie? Because it seems right up your alley.
I am 100% sure I have never seen the film we'll be talking about today, which is from 1966, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Other than that, Trent, this might be a kind of a short intro because I'm going to guess you don't know a ton about this movie.
No, and only because I've been looking at it a little bit here, I know it is it's very much an acting movie. There's a lot of dialogue, and I think it's about a relationship having to do with these two people. And now, honestly, I have never seen an Elizabeth Taylor anything. Not a movie, not TV, not Broadway, nothing.
False. You have, but it's so tiny I don't think you'd even know.
Jesus.
Do you recall the episode of The Simpsons where Maggie says her first
fine.
word?
Okay, fine. Yes, that is Elizabeth Taylor.
That is Elizabeth Taylor.
She says daddy. Okay, fine.
But yes, outside of that, I wouldn't expect that you have seen anything that she is in. If you have, it was like a cameo or something like The Simpsons where you just didn't know it was even her.
Probably. And, I was born in 1984 and she was still making movies at that time, I'm sure. And if she guessed it on any television shows, I wouldn't have known or wouldn't have even cared. But I know Elizabeth Taylor is one of these legends of Hollywood that, is very much looked up to in the same vein, at least in her era, in the same vein as Meryl Streep, that kind of an actress.
And do you know anything about Richard Burton, or at least the relevance of him and her being in this movie together?
No, I really don't. I mean, I expect Elizabeth Taylor was probably married to the guy at one point. She was married to half of Hollywood.
She was married to him on multiple occasions, actually, if I remember correctly.
Here's the deal. I know the name Richard Burton. I don't know from what.
He's another one of those guys from this era that if you've paid attention to old Hollywood movies, old Hollywood gossip in any way, this is a couple where you're going to know their names. You might not know why you know their names, but my guess is if you've ever heard anything about Elizabeth Taylor, you've heard Richard Burton's name mentioned in the same breath.
Maybe, but nothing comes to mind.
And then as far as the movie itself, I believe this is based on a play. So my assumption is you might actually quite enjoy this one because it's all dialogue and you are a sucker for a movie that's dialogue.
Oh, yeah. And guys, if you've been following us, you know already that I love a good talkie. I love a good character piece where we can really just dig down deep into these characters and how they're being portrayed here and really... I mean, if you've already been signed up on Patreon for a while and you've been listening to our Real Love show, that's kind of our favorite stuff, is just analyzing the relationship between two different people who happen to be in love or in a relationship. But yeah, I mean, I really don't know anything more than what you just said and what I said, so I guess I'm ready.
Then let's do it. We're going to kick off the Decade series with Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. We're going to go watch it and we'll be right back. And we're back. Trent, how did you feel about Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
I say this every time. that we cover a movie from, the 1950s, 1960s, I'm always a little bit apprehensive because I didn't really know much about the era of film. I didn't really know much about the actors or the way things are written. But guys, I am here to say on our first episode back from our first ever break, wow, we really picked a great one.
Trent, this might be the most ruthless, meanest movie I have ever seen. And I mean that in a good way. But it's kind of shocking to watch when you don't really know what it is you're expecting.
So some of the stuff that I was reading here was the fact that the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, they had dominion over a lot of the different stuff that got put out. And for the time, 1966, this movie was pushing every envelope, every line, everything of good taste of the 1960s up to this point. It was pushing the limits here. And normally, they would say for a movie like this, with the content therein, we're not allowed to put this out in theaters.
Just we're not going to do it.
We're just not going to do it because there are literal laws around the country. In fact, one proprietor of a theater got arrested for showing this movie. But the MPAA gave special, permission to put this movie out with, this, by the way, is before the rating system was put into place. They put a special distinction on the movie saying you cannot come and see this movie unless you are 18 years old or accompanied by an adult.
It would be an R-rated movie now, which weirdly seems quaint because if you watch it today, it's not for children, but it's not exactly an R-rated movie.
No, it is not way obscene. This would be PG-13 by today's standards. But when you put it in context in 1966, people did not talk like this in movies, especially not television.
Not in public and not opening conversations for people to have after they've seen the movie.
Absolutely. But here's the deal, though. People did talk like this. You just didn't see it depicted in popular culture. People swore all the time. People drank. People screwed around. It happened all the time. But again, for the sake of, the souls of America, they just didn't put movies like this out. They at least weren't made.
What's interesting to me is that's the reaction the movie had, and yet the play got produced. What are the differences that you could put this on stage and get away with it?
Right.
Or did the theater also put some kind of clarifiers like, guys, this is a play meant for adults about adult themes. You're not going to understand this, or you shouldn't expose your kids to it. And then they saw that play and said, but what if we made it into a movie?
Yeah. Betsy, we actually covered a movie that this movie kind of reminds me of. It was The Wayback Machine. I don't remember what year it went back to, but it was The Hustler. And there are a lot of things in that movie that were really pushing the envelope as well, where, you have an unmarried man and an unmarried woman laying in bed together. And clearly, if you're an adult, you know that they just got done fucking. But they don't refer to that. They don't allude to that at all. But again, as a learned person, you know what they were just doing. Laying in bed together, smoking a cigarette, come on. And in this movie, they refer to the fact that Elizabeth Taylor and the young guy were trying to hook up. They didn't because he couldn't get it up. That's another thing they're talking about here. They say on a couple of different occasions after they're up in the bedroom, well, if I hadn't been, drinking for the past 10 hours, maybe I would have whatever. They don't actually say it. And then just a little bit later, she says the same thing. Well, maybe next time you can actually perform or something to that effect. Again, it's the writer that is going around and telling the audience without being very explicit about the words.
It's finding the line and tap dancing right on top of it.
Right. The topics, the actual content is there if they're not using the words. And this is around the time when a guy, I've always talked about this guy. A guy like George Carlin was coming up and being very, very popular, and his fascination with language and really pushing the envelope to what is actual good taste. Well, after a while, when the counterculture movement really started, a few years after this, he embraced the idea, you know what, I need to be pushing not only, the young people that I'm entertaining, but I also need to push the envelope for my own generation, because he was entertaining younger people because that's what they were really into. So the late 60s and early 70s is really when the culture started to change. And a movie like this, it just seems like it is out of time.
But when you put it firmly in time, it becomes way more shocking. Like,
this is a radical movie.
It is insane to watch in 2026. It would have been even more insane to watch 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Because, these people in this relationship, I don't know what their life is like by the light of day. Because clearly, this is not them at their best, but this is them at their most real, because they have been so drunk the whole night and they just keep getting drunker. And every mean thing they want to say and every bad impulse that they want to have, they just have it. They do it. And it carries them to some dark and crazy places.
So what I really appreciate here is the progression, because we start the movie. I even noticed here, man, it really looks like they're on a campus somewhere, because they're walking amongst all these really big buildings. All the lighting and the sidewalk looks like you're on a college campus. And sure enough, they shot on a real college campus. And we find out later in the movie, he is some kind of professor, and she is the daughter of the president of the university. So these are learned people, they have intelligence, and as they're going back to their place, you can see them kind of joking around and just being a married couple. You would maybe suspect that if they have kids, maybe they're older and they're out of the house. They're coming back from some kind of party, so they're a little bit drunk, and she reveals throughout the course of their conversation that, we're actually going to be having company over later on this evening. But the interactions that they have with each other is kind of playful. Like when he lays down on the bed, she gets on top of him and is just kind of, singing the song to him and rubbing his back, but then also bouncing on top of him.
Tickling him.
Yeah, they're having a good time like they're a young married couple, but clearly they're in their 40s or 50s. But to go from that kind of playfulness all the way to everything kind of falling apart in some secret thing that they have just amongst each other, and inviting a couple of other people into their world and really just revealing how they really are behind the scenes.
As a couple, setting them up at the beginning of the movie, you're right, they're very playful. And I get the sense that they love games, and they also love to push each other's buttons, because they're probably two people who have never felt loved except by each other, but they don't trust it. So they are going to do everything they can to push the other person away just to see if they leave. They are testing the relationship every second.
I would say especially her, because you can kind of surmise here that maybe she's the poor little rich girl whose daddy helped her out with everything, and she married this other professor just to get back at her dad, and the dad is resentful, so he's not promoting the husband of hers. I don't know, I'm reading way into this here, but that's how I see her. Whereas she says something in the movie about, when I create these games, you're the only person who can actually keep up with me and kind of keep up with the bit. They talk about having a bit. You and I have bits that just go on forever.
But Trent, that's this entire movie. They are just doing bits with each other.
Yes.
But they are just the angriest, most cynical, craziest bits that anyone has ever seen. And they're doing it in front of total strangers. That's what's insane about this, because you can't tell the line between what's real and what is a bit. And they change the topics constantly, and they're having two conversations simultaneously, and they just, every time it calms down, they need to amp it up.
Yeah, everything needs to be something else introduced to the conversation to keep the evening going.
Everything has gotten far too calm. I'm going to say something to get a rise out of her.
Right.
Everything is too peaceful. I'm going to piss him off. And she checks in that one scene where she's just like, are you getting mad, George? Are you getting angry? Are you feeling it? And she's pacing back and forth in the room, just making sure that she is on the right track for the bit she has chosen.
Yeah, and there just is this overwhelming chaos that is happening in the entire house and even outside the house, where this is just how they entertain themselves. It's how they quote unquote, entertain other people. This is just their life, because at its core, these people are, would you say that these people are unhappy? Because one thing that really triggers both of them in their own ways is when he finds out that Elizabeth Taylor's character mentioned the fact that they had a son. And just breathing that topic into the conversation outside of them two makes her crazy and makes him crazy.
And it's really the trigger that leads to the rest of the night.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I would say, yeah, they're probably pretty sad people deep down, and the alcohol brings it out of them.
Yeah.
I feel like they can get by and they're not as malicious and mean to each other when they're sober. As I said, in the light of day, they probably are okay to each other, and they do love each other, which is the sick part.
Yeah.
They really love each other. They show that at the beginning when they're playing and at the end when they're holding hands as the movie fades to black.
Yeah.
But when they get drunk and the secrets come out and the buttons start being pushed, they just have to test their own resolve to stay in this relationship, and they have to test the other person to see if they'll stay in this relationship, because they know deep down, I love this person, but I don't know deep down they love me back.
How long do you think that they've been together here?
I would say they've probably been together a good 20 years at this point.
Yeah, I would have said like anywhere between 15 and 20 years that they've been married anyway, maybe together longer.
He had to be a professor by the time they met, because that's where she says she met him.
Right.
So that would put him between 22 and 26 years old, give or take.
Yeah, because he says that he's in his 40s. They don't actually
put a number.
No, in the trivia, it actually says that her character is 51. And in reality, Elizabeth Taylor was in her, I think, mid-30s. So they actually say they put makeup on her, and it's one of the reasons why they shot this in black and white, is because the makeup that they put on her made her look a lot more, older and haggard. But I kind of want to dwell on this whole son thing, because do you understand what is actually happening with the story of their son?
I was trying throughout the movie to understand, okay, do they have a bad relationship with their son? Did their son die? Is their son far away? What is going on with this son? Because clearly it's not as cut and dry as we have a son. He can't agree with her on the color of the kid's eyes and his hair color.
Right.
He can't agree that it's even his son. And every time they bring it up in front of this couple, they fight about it in some way. And when he decides, I'll tell her that our son is dead, it's like, that is like a cruel, cruel thing to tell a mother that her son died. But it's cruel in its own way because their son isn't real.
Right.
They made up a child just as a secret between the two of them to try to make themselves happy within these unhappy walls.
Exactly. They reveal here when the guy asks, did you want to have a son? Did you want to have a kid? And they said, yeah, we did, but we can't. We've never been able to actually conceive a child and give birth. So instead, they created, over the course of probably years,
16 years, Trent.
Yeah, they created this amalgamation of a son and a backstory and how the kid grew up, and they resent us and they ran away 5 times in the course of a year, and one thing after the other after the other. There's even some, implications here that she is molesting the kid or something like that.
She's way too attached to her son, if nothing else.
Yeah. So it's all of these different pieces of the story kind of coming out, and they can't necessarily even agree on what the kid even looks like because they can't decide because the story keeps changing.
He's blonde-eyed and blue-haired, Trent.
Yeah, and the fact that, he says that, she's lying about the son because he says that, she didn't actually conceive it with me. She conceived it with somebody else and blah, blah, blah.
This is their most elaborate bit that no one else is privy to. And the fact that she uttered it outside the relationship.
Yeah. The one rule with this whole bit is that you cannot mention outside of us. When he hears that she told the lady about the fact that they have a son, he perks up and I think he's kind of outraged.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you breathe this fake person into life? Because then we have to actually give him life.
When the young man who's in their house says, "Do you have any kids?" he says, "That's for me to know and for you to find out."
Right.
But then the wife comes in and she says, "I didn't know you had a son." The way he whips around.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
This is our thing, and I know that we're trying to be friendly here, but that is a bridge too far, and you know what? I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill this one thing that we've had for the past 16 years, because that's the rule. If one of us reveals it outside of the relationship, the other person has carte blanche to just end it.
And because he knows it will hurt her the deepest.
Yeah.
That's why this movie's so mean. They find the button. They look for whatever thing in this moment, in this bit, in this fight will piss off the other person. And they push that button loudly and just like looking them dead in the eyes like, I'm gonna fucking do this.
Because they have an audience.
Yes.
They can actually have another person have an impression on you that you're not, putting in front of them.
They also seem to revel in making other people join their own misery.
Yeah, misery loves company, baby.
Because they seem so fine about the whole thing at the beginning and they're laughing and they're having drinks. But they start consuming alcohol at such a rapid pace and they don't stop. Like the number of times he goes over to George Segal and keeps handing him drinks. Here's a drink. Here's a drink.
Taking the drink out of his hand, filling it up and giving it back to him.
He hasn't even finished the first one and he's filling that glass again.
Yeah.
The speed with which they are intent on getting these two young people drunk so that they can all have a debaucherous night together. And then it's just like, how do we play a game? Let's play a game called Humiliate the Hosts. Let's play a game called Get the Guests. And they're just going for it every step of the way. Why? I don't fucking know, except that he is upset that she mentioned the son that they made up.
I have to imagine it's more than just that. That's how he ends everything. But what I can't understand here is, number one, why do they need to get the other two drunk? Other than the fact that, hey, it's going to loosen them up a little bit and they're not going to leave right away. They're curious too. But like, why do you need to have this audience? And even at the very beginning, he's upset that she invited these people over in the first place. Like, oh, God damn it. I don't want to entertain.
You're always springing shit like this on me.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Like, I wanted to go to bed. I'm an old man and I will need to get up in the morning or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I mean, the entire night is just chaotic. And it really all has to do with the fact that everybody's fucking drunk. I would say that it's an unspoken thing, but it's right out in the open. Every one of these people is completely sloshed. And I don't know what the filmmaker or the writer here is trying to say about that, other than the fact that this couple, this older couple, is filling their days, filling their life with these fantasies, and it is fueled by the alcoholism. Because you even see throughout the course of the night, the bar area where they're actually filling up drinks is completely empty. The ice is gone. The booze is all drunk. So what does he do? He goes back to the cabinet in the way background and he grabs a lot more.
Because we have to keep this party going.
There is an unending supply of booze in this house just for this occasion.
But when they have to leave, when the couple finally has had enough and they say, my wife is sick, we've got to go home, Richard Burton goes to get the car keys because this is a time where we're just going to drive completely drunk. And then they go to a second location. They go to a bar so that they can, quote, dance. But really, they're there to drink some more.
My favorite line in the movie that made me laugh the most. When they go around a corner when he's driving, everybody's kind of knocking against each other, and Elizabeth Taylor says something to the effect of, aren't you going to apologize to the people in the car? He responds by saying, no, it's not my fault the road wasn't straight. Oh, And again, this is 1966. The idea of drinking and driving is not poo-pooed as much as it is, 10, 20, 40, 60 years later.
This is when people still drank while they were pregnant and smoked cigarettes while they were pregnant and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Which, again, that's another topic of conversation here that they're not really addressing, but they are, where the young lady seemingly was pregnant when they weren't married yet. But then they got married and then, oops, she wasn't pregnant anymore, which that's one of two things that would have happened.
And then while she's in her drunken stupor, she says both, I don't want to have a child and I do want to have a child. Mm-hmm. She swings all over the place. She's in total denial about her own situation, total denial about what her husband is doing upstairs.
Yeah. Did you also catch when the young lady is coming down the stairs for the first time after they go off and do a euphemism?
To the powder room.
Yes.
Take her to the euphemism. That was great.
Yes, I love that line. But she stops on the way down the stairs because she overhears the husband talking about whether or not you want to have any children or how many you want to have, because she wants to hear what his answer is.
And these are all conversations you don't have with strangers, Trent.
No, especially not people that you just meet.
And I get this guy is a college professor. He is a colleague. He's a senior person as far as you're concerned because you're brand new.
Yeah.
He's also the son-in-law of the university president. And as we keep mentioning, he is drinking. So maybe he's just trying to be a little bit more casual and open than you normally would be. But by being so open with these strangers in both directions, it just devolves the entire situation. And everybody in this quartet uses that information against each other. Which is another thing that doesn't happen in 1966. People are not that informal. People are not spilling each other's personal business at the drop of a hat to a stranger.
Definitely not. And the fact that they met each other at this, I think it was a faculty party, I think is what they're coming from at the beginning of the movie. So they're colleagues, so you know that you're going to see them around. And when those two guys are outside, the younger guy reveals probably a lot more than what he figures, because he's talking about the fact that, he's very ambitious and he wants to really rise in the ranks. And, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for your job because I want this and I want that. And the way to do that, well, you got to go through the wives. And what better wife to go through than yours, because she is the daughter of the president.
Which he's drunk and making a joke, but is he?
Is he? Exactly.
And that's another reason I think Richard Burton is pushing all these buttons, is because he's completely threatened by this younger, more handsome man.
He's also trying to get the dirt. He's really, really good at gathering information and then just regurgitating it. He's a good professor.
He's a great storyteller.
Yeah, that too. I was kind of taken by his story about the kid that he quote unquote knew when he was a teenager, and people made fun of how he said words, and he killed his mother by accident, and then he killed his father in a car accident, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, why are you saying this? I didn't really understand what the hell is going on here. And it's not revealed until they go to the dance club that, that was actually just a story that he made up. Or was it?
That's what I was going to ask you, Trent, because yes, at the beginning, when he is telling this story, he is lost in his own world. He's staring off into the distance as if he's really remembering this.
Yeah.
The way he is telling this, and he says, and that guy was locked up and he's been in there for 30 years and he hasn't made a sound since. And he seems so convinced that this is a real story. And then in a couple of scenes, they're in the car and Martha makes a crack about, you used to order Burton.
Right.
And the guy perks up and she's like, wait, he told you that story?
Uh-huh.
And in the context at the bar, it's that's the story he wrote in his novel. But then there's kind of some implications that maybe this is based on real life. Like this actually happened to him. He accidentally shot his own mother. We've already seen him point a gun at his own wife.
Right.
So it's not that unreasonable to think that perhaps he did this in kind of the same fashion where he was playing a prank and he accidentally shot his mother. And then he accidentally killed his own father. But the way they put it in the story, she says that he pitched this idea to his father-in-law, her dad, who said, I can't let you publish this book. And that's the whole question you have is, how much of what they're saying is real? Because it does feel at a certain point that these two just are really committed to the bits.
They're committed to just the bullshit. He is probably the best bullshitter at this entire, university. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he hasn't advanced from being an associate professor. That's basically nobody at a university. You don't have tenure track. You're not anybody senior. You're not on track to become somebody senior.
You're not the head of the department.
Exactly. He's just languishing because maybe he doesn't take things seriously. Who knows?
I mean, like I said, if they act like this in front of anybody else, which if they're drunk is going to be in front of anybody else, because most of those gatherings, there's booze.
Sure.
There's a lot of reasons I see why he isn't being advanced.
And if he is this way amongst all of his colleagues, because his father-in-law is the president, do you think that he's actually going to fire him? Probably not.
No, as long as those two stay together, his job is secure.
Yeah.
But they're constantly seeing if this relationship is going to last. Like they say, they alternate. She is saying this miserable, I wanted to protect my son from this like vile marriage or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But then later, she's smoking a cigarette, supposedly post-coital, but then we find out they didn't actually have sex.
No.
And she says that the only person who has ever made her happy is George. And the way she is describing this, she's like, it's completely pathetic, isn't it? That man, that guy who is ruining this entire evening right alongside me is the only person who has ever made me happy. And when he comes through the front door with the fucking flowers, they just go right into another bit.
Yeah.
10 minutes ago, we're arguing about how this relationship has just finally snapped. She said, I've had enough. That's it. She fucking ditches him at the bar and goes home to try to fuck this guy. And he cries. He fucking cries when he gets to that house. And she is up there. He laughs and then falls apart and starts crying because he's like, fuck, I pushed it too far. And now this is actually happening. But then he thinks about it for just a minute and goes, I must exact my revenge.
But here's the deal. He knows his wife. He knows his wife. He knows that she is chaotic and she's going to do something stupid because she has dominion over her body. She has dominion over this house and over him. These two are equals, but in their own kind of way. And that's what's really so fucking radical about this movie. Both of these people in this relationship have the same kind of chaos pointed at each other, pointed towards the guests coming into the house. And for some reason, it works. You and I know chaotic couples like this where they fucking fight all the time. They make things right that night, and then they're just back to normal the next day. You and I can't really understand living like that, but until you actually get in between what is actually happening, when you actually see it for yourself in person, do you actually see the wheels turning in their own minds and see how they interact with each other and really understand why it is that it works?
Because from the outside looking in, it might make absolutely no goddamn sense.
Yeah, but when she is at that screen door, really, really bearing her soul here, I don't know whether or not she has attempted this same thing in the past where she's slept with another guy, but I think she's very honest with herself in that, you know, nobody else would ever put up with this shit. No one else would put up with me because I know me just like he knows himself. And whatever it is that she would have had with this young man would have been just a fleeting thing. He would have completely dismissed her out of hand after he gets a look at how she really is. Which is why in this moment, she's being very dismissive of him by saying, you know, you're just a houseboy. Go and answer the door, houseboy.
And she does the same thing to Richard Burton where she commands, go open the door, go open the door. But it's a small distinction of what she says and how she says it to Richard Burton and what she says and how she says it to George Segal. Yeah. Because when she's saying it to him in the second part of the movie, she is like, you disgust me. You mean nothing to me. You couldn't even get it up. What good are you? Go answer the fucking door.
Yeah, you're nothing but a houseboy.
I'm going to make myself a drink. And while I'm not going to encourage us to go and get a drink after watching this,
We might need it.
I am going to say right now we're going to take a little break for a word from our sponsor, and then we will be right back to talk more about Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
This season, give yourself the gift you've always wanted. It's not a new car, and certainly not diamond jewelry. It's premium podcasts from the industry's leading connoisseurs of conversation. For only $5 a month, you will receive the most privileged access to their entire catalog. Patreon.com/NeverSeenItPod. Only the best for the discerning listener.
Now, Trent, before we watched the movie, we talked about the fact that you have not seen a movie starring Elizabeth Taylor. You also have not seen anything with Richard Burton in it. So let's start with Elizabeth Taylor. This is the movie she won an Academy Award for Best Lead Actress. What did you think of her in the role?
Incredible. I was just completely transfixed every single time that she was on screen. And maybe this is just a subconscious thing on the part of the director. Maybe they had her be off screen a lot more to prevent the audience from being overwhelmed by too much Elizabeth Taylor. Because I felt such emotion coming out of her. I felt the resentment. I felt the power that she has in this room, in this relationship. I felt her sadness at the end of the movie because one thing that they held on to for so long was now gone. But even though the thing that they had didn't exist, it's just in their own imagination. But also, it's a reminder that they don't have a son in reality.
It's weird to see her in a vulnerable state, in a state of emotional breakdown.
Yeah.
When she's been so in your face and strong the whole rest of the movie. And from when we first see her, when she's just housing a chicken bone, like just housing a piece of chicken. What's the name of that movie? What's the name of that movie? No, you know the one, and describing in great detail the movie she's trying to think of.
Betsy, I love this beginning sequence with them because number one, there's a lot of really, really long shots here.
Long takes.
Yeah, long takes. The other thing is the fact that she is just casually throwing things underneath blankets and underneath cushions and cleaning up because
quote cleaning up.
quote unquote cleaning up because they're going to have company over in just a little bit.
Aggressively washing a dish.
Yeah. I just need to do dishes right now because I'm upset. But you and I do that sometimes when we have unexpected guests. We go around the house, put everything away, and good God, you can't see that this place is actually lived in. But in 1966, you would not think that you would depict a house in disarray.
But it's also the house where a professor lives, and in those cases, I do expect it to look more lived in. But in 66, you're right, you do have an expectation that your house should be very presentable for guests.
Right, especially if you're like an upper crust kind of a family. Because maybe you would expect, you have a maid, or you have somebody coming in to clean up after you, or things like that. Because all you're doing is either teaching at the college, or you're going to parties, or you're traveling the world.
But it adds to the aura that this shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't be here right now. The house isn't clean. The house isn't presentable. It's the middle of the night. Why do you have people coming over?
Right.
And she's just like, oh yeah, and people are coming over. And Richard Burton's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It is 2
I'm
o'clock
laying
in
down
the morning
to go to sleep. What do you mean people are coming over? And then she just forgets things like, why do you never put ice in my drinks? And he says, I always put ice in your drinks, but you chew on them like a lunatic. Like the way they just are so, I know this person. I know you. I know what you do. And they have the moment where it almost seems like everything is good at the beginning. They're just an old married couple that likes to quarrel about stupid things the other person forgets.
He says, Martha and I are merely exercising. This is just what we do. We're not arguing. This is not a serious argument here. It is just what we do. We always talk to each other like this.
We're having a fiery little debate that most people never get to see, but you are here to see it.
Again, Betsy and I, we have these discussions sometimes where we get really loud and animated, but are we arguing with each other? No.
We have never fought the way these people fight.
No, but we do have discussions like this.
Loud discussions.
Yes, that does happen with us. Because again, we don't have another outlet for that except with each other.
It's also the way the two of them remember things differently, or they just regurgitate what the other person says. The fact that both of them say, "Oh, you're like in the math department, aren't you?" And
Sure.
he corrects them. He says, "No, I'm in biology." And she's like, No, he's in the math department. I know. Like your own husband doesn't know what he does for a living.
Right.
So it's harmless enough, even though she's clearly stumbling around and is already drunk when we meet her. And she just gets like sloppy drunk by the end of the movie. And she's going on these waves of aggression where she's just like flirtatious and being a fun hostess and laughing with her husband when he brings out the gun with the umbrella inside. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a hilarious joke.
Sure, but also, there are moments here where he gets physical, and it's kind of scary.
Well, and the thing with the gun, it's like he's feeling humiliated that she tells the story about how she boxed him once.
Yeah.
Like, that is the kind of relationship they have where they're not afraid to get a little bit physical if they have to. And you expect this to turn into an all-out, like, slapping match. Like, that they are gonna hit each other at some point. They never do. The closest thing is he hurls flowers at her. That is, like, the closest thing to violence they really get.
He does push her when they're outside in front of the bar. He does push her against the car. There's also a moment where I think... Well, number one, he grabs her by the fucking hair and slaps her a little bit. And maybe to his mind, that is the only way that he can really get through to her, because she's just going to do whatever she's going to do and be dismissive of whatever it is that he says. And this is the only way, because he is bigger and stronger than she is, that he can get through to her.
And the fact that I can't even remember that distinct moment in the movie, it just shows you how chaotic it is. Because I
Sure.
believe everything happened and nothing happened at the same time, because they just keep starting a new bit and starting over every 10 minutes. The energy shifts between these two.
Yeah.
And 1 minute she is screaming. The next minute she's doing just like a la-di-da kind of an attitude, entertaining. And then the next minute she's crying on the floor.
But you could say the same thing about Richard Burton. And I want to talk about him now. There are times in the movie where I felt like he was going to go too far. But then other times I felt like she was going to go too far. But the times where he kind of commands the room is when he is having these long soliloquies about his novel. And here's the second novel that I'm writing right now. It's about this other couple. And I'm only saying this because I'm playing a game. Ha ha ha. I'm having fun. I don't care if you're having fun. But I think it's because these two people are learned people. They're very intelligent, and they're just being chaotic in their own way that other people can't really understand. So because of that, his wife is the only one that can really participate in the games that he wants to play. And because he can keep up with the games that she is playing, she loves to play along with his games.
But whenever either of them loses the game that was being played, they go and sulk. Like the time that everybody is dancing around and singing, and then his wife, the other guy's wife, pukes, he goes out and sits on a swing alone. And he's just like, I'm just going to be by myself for a while.
Mm-hmm. When he goes to get the gun, he gets really upset. When she takes the car from the bar and picks the couple up and goes back to the house for some fuck time, he just strolls back to the house by himself. Who the fuck knows how long of a distance that actually is? But he gets to the house. He notices that the lock is on the door. He kicks it in. He goes to the stair and sees her. I think it's her shirt or something. He picks it up. He kind of laughs at it in that way, in that knowing way that, oh God, my wife is just doing this, isn't she?
Like, oh, she bested me yet again.
Something like that. So he takes himself outside, sits down on the stoop and starts crying.
But just as quickly as that, when somebody else approaches while he's crying, he pulls it back together and gets a brilliant idea. He knows exactly the next thing he has to do to cut her deep. And it's like they're trying to keep each other in line. Every time they try to one-up each other, it's just to make sure that I have the power, no, I have the power, but they're still equals? How is that possible?
It's like I said, these two people have their own power that keep each other in check, and they kind of need that because if they don't have that other person, they're just going to fly off the handle.
But they also can never give in to the other person. So she asks him a simple thing, light my cigarette. And he says, I cannot, I will not, and I will never light your cigarettes because it's demeaning to him. And he knows what it represents to their relationship. If he gives on this tiny thing, Lord knows what else she'll be able to get on over me.
Right.
But the other guy lights her cigarette, and that's kind of where the game begins.
And there is where she just starts really, really flirting with this guy, talking about his hard body and shit like that. Oh my God.
So inappropriate.
Yes.
To him and to his wife and in front of her husband. It is just, how much can we get away with in front of these people and with each other? That's the only reason these people were invited over. She says, my dad said to be nice to them. Daddy said to be nice.
Right.
But they are not being very nice to them.
I love how Richard Burton is just sitting back at his desk, witnessing this entire thing happening in front of him. He knows what his wife is doing, and he thinks it's just silly. He's not jealous.
He spends the movie collecting data.
Yeah.
And then using it against everybody. And it's wild. And he also got nominated for an Oscar for this. All 4 people got nominated, but only the women won. And they're all equally good in their own roles, because when you are the 2 people acting opposite these 2, you have to hold your own.
Yeah, you gotta step up your game if you're gonna, not be forgotten about in a movie like this.
Right. And George Segal, this is the youngest I have ever seen him. I only know him as an older guy in like the 80s and the 90s.
Sure.
So to see him this young, I didn't know he had been nominated for an Oscar, frankly. But he's also really good. The woman who plays his wife is very good. She's a great drunk actress.
Yes. You could even say that every single person in this cast plays drunk really, really well. But I think where the guy really shines is when they're outside and he's talking about, his ambition, the stuff we already kind of mentioned here. But he's just kind of on the ground being drunk and just saying things to keep the conversation going. But there's this kind of unspoken rivalry between them.
The way that Richard Burton gets off the swing and then sits down on the ground closer to him as he says something interesting.
Yeah, it's when he finds out, oh, I was right. Your wife is rich. Tell me more about your rich wife.
And it's all that data collection, as I said.
Yeah.
He says something. They mention it a few times. He is a history professor. And Elizabeth Taylor says that he is not of history. He's in history or something. Like some way that she phrases it. But that kind of applies to what he's doing here, where he is just observing the history, collecting the information, and he is going to teach it back to you in whatever way suits him.
Maybe, but she's actually saying it in a cutting way because, hey, you are not head of the history department.
Yes, but I think it has a double meaning. I think he takes it, he interprets it his own way.
Sure.
He doesn't entirely disagree with the statement, is my point. But all right, there's a million things I know we could still talk about with this movie, but did you have some other moments or things you wanted to mention?
Yeah, surprisingly, there's still more to say. I can't remember exactly where this happens in the movie, but Richard Burton tells his wife or tells a couple of people, I can't remember, again, context. He's telling them to leave, but he says it in a way that I really like. He tells them, vanish. Just vanish. I love that. Then he's having the conversation with the guy for the first time when the other 2 go upstairs. He's talking about the young wife's hips in the fact that her hips, like she has very narrow hips. And he says the line that says, I don't mean to suggest that I'm hip happy.
The way he is also juggling 2 conversations and he's referring to his own wife and the other guy's wife simultaneously and the guy and himself. It's like, how the fuck did you write this dialogue? Yeah. How did you come up with this?
Yeah. When they're having kind of the first big blow up in the living room, Elizabeth Taylor is talking, I think, about the son or the fact that the husband is not good or something like that. She's going off on a rant, getting in the faces of the younger couple, but it's the camera that is actually kind of down further to the ground and getting in literally the faces of those two young people. I really like that because you can really feel the confrontation and just the presence in your face. Another kind of filmmaking thing I really like when they're at the bar and they're leaving, they're going to this kind of entryway to maybe pay their tab or whatever. The camera is shooting them through the saloon door window. They don't do that at any other time in the movie. I just really liked that.
We haven't touched on that yet. This movie was directed by Mike Nichols.
Right.
Who is somebody who keeps coming up in the podcast.
We have apparently watched a lot of Mike Nichols movies, and I have liked all of them. Charlie Wilson's War, The Graduate, obviously. I really like the movie Closer, and a few others that I can't think of right now. But yeah, we have watched a lot of his movies. We've covered a lot of his movies, and I'm sure we'll probably do more. And the last thing, Betsy, this got weird. And I know this movie is very weird, but when they're at the bar and Elizabeth Taylor and the young guy get up to dance, it's in this sequence here where Richard Burton is referring to the blonde chick, calling her sexy, referring to her as angel boobs and monkey nipples.
Yeah.
Where did that all come from?
And why is he doing that? I don't know, because I guess it's just another button-pushing game because his wife is currently dirty dancing with this other professor guy.
Right.
But when they start getting really physical, the drunk wife is clapping her hands going, violence, violence.
Right.
Like, what is...
She's no better than the rest of these fuckers.
What is happening here? There's only one tiny other thing I wanted to mention, and it's when he is in the room with the younger guy, and he starts yelling for Martha, and she is screaming back at him, and finally shows up. She's like, what were you yelling for? And he says, I got lonely for the soft purr of your little voice.
Yeah.
The dialogue is wild in this entire movie. And you can tell completely that this is based on a play.
100%.
The way it is really compact. It's really only in two places the entire movie.
There's only 4, 5 actors, 6 actors really total, because the other 2 people that I can think of are the proprietor of the bar and the waitress lady at the bar. That's it.
But I also like that it doesn't feel as flat as some plays do. Back in this time, when you were adapting a play for the screen, they did it so beat for beat that sometimes it feels like you just pointed a camera at the stage and didn't try to do anything creative. But Mike Nichols really is using the space. He's behind, he's in front, he's in the side, he's low. He is filling this entire room.
You see every angle of that living room, and I really appreciated that. You also see the kitchen where they have
their bedroom.
You see the bedroom. You see the closet where he has his guns. You see the outside with the swing. You get the interior of the car. You go to the bar. You see the front of the bar, the outside of the bar.
There's 2 rooms in the bar that we get to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's really using the space. This also got nominated for art direction. So there you
This
go.
movie, whatever categories it was qualified for, it got nominated for. It was the first time since 1931 that had happened.
And it got a shit ton of nominations. So I'm really shocked that today is the first time I finally watched this movie.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we did. And we had a few different selections for 1966. The other contender here was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which I would have also enjoyed, I'm sure. But that one has some weird connotations to it when it comes to, hey, it's the Man with No Name trilogy. Do we really want to see the third one out of the trilogy?
It also
even though that trilogy is told in reverse.
It also technically came out in 1967.
I know.
It is better known as a 67 movie.
It came out in Italy in 1966.
Yes.
But still, that was the other option we had here. But wow, am I impressed with this movie. Jeez. And we always say it. I love a good talkie. I love a good, really, really dialogue-driven movie, and this is one of those. I'm so impressed.
Well, there you have it. We're starting this decade series off with a bang. 1966 is in the books, but we want to hear from you. Do you like this movie? What is your favorite stupid little insult that they throw at each other? What's the thing you love most about this movie?
Also, what other Elizabeth Taylor movies should we cover?
Send those thoughts to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. And we did actually get an email right as we went on break from our superfan Stephanie. So we haven't had an opportunity to read it yet. But if you were following along before we took our break, we just finished Biggest Movie May, where we did some whopper films for the month of May. We did.
Seems like a lifetime ago.
I know, but we did The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2, and that is one of the movies that she is mentioning in her email. It's The Godfather Part 2 and 28 Years Later.
Okay.
So here's what we heard from Stephanie. The Godfather Part 2 is one of the best films of all time. I love the flashback scenes, and I definitely think they are necessary to draw a comparison between Vito and Michael. I think the reason I love the flashback scenes is that Vito is so much more likable than Michael. You want him to be successful and get what he wants. The entire time Michael is in charge, I'm bracing for his downfall, just waiting for his decisions to bite him in the ass. The acting, directing, and production are all so good. This is just not a movie I can go back to very often because of how long it is, but I wouldn't want any of it to be cut.
That's fair. I asked the question when we were doing that episode about, do you actually need the flashbacks to Vito, because the focus of the movie really is about Michael? But yes, there is a contrast between how he is coming up as opposed to when Vito is coming up, and the fact that, you inherited the business, you didn't actually build the business. That's the difference.
And then she has some things to say about 28 Years Later. 28 Years Later was just okay. We finally watched this, and I was pretty disappointed. I absolutely hated all the cutscenes in the beginning. I felt like I couldn't get invested in the actual community because they kept cutting out to show medieval scenes that are only tangentially related.
Still don't understand that.
Then seeing where the movie goes, it really feels like those scenes were added in to fill time so there could be a sequel. What I did like were all the scenes with Spike and his mom, and every scene with Ray Fiennes. I even liked the dad character and think there's more to delve into there. And now we're going to get into a small spoiler for this movie if you haven't seen it yet. I hate the alphas and the fact that they can have uninfected babies. Unnecessary. I will probably watch Bone Temple soon just to see where it goes with the Jimmy shit. But I'm not feeling very optimistic. Love you guys from Superfan Stephanie.
Yeah, I have heard mixed things about the Bone Temple. The people who take the story very, very seriously are not all that up on it, but the people who are going to a movie like this just to have fun, they're liking it. So I think eventually, because we've already seen all three other 28 whatever movies, we'll eventually see Bone Temple and whatever comes later. But honestly, after 28 years later, I am a lot more skeptical about the future of the franchise.
Or as I said in, I think, that episode, maybe this is just not a franchise for us, where we like parts of it, we like the idea of it, but we don't actually like the movies that much as they're presented to us.
Yeah, and when they're trying to tie everything together, it could work. It also seems like it is forced in here because there's such a gap between the original one and the ones that they're doing right now. I just don't see why they're doing it, other than, like they do with any other kind of movie, they're doing it to make money. And that's fine in and of itself. It doesn't mean that I'm going to participate.
But time will tell, Trent. So Thank you, Stephanie, for those thoughts. Again, if you have thoughts, you don't have to have them be about the movie we just covered. You can go back to any of our 400 and whatever number episodes that we have currently done on this show. Send us any of those thoughts. Play the home game. Listen to the intro of the episode. Go watch the movie. Come back and finish the episode so you can hear in real time how you feel about it, as well as how we felt about it. But as we said, if you'd like to send us those thoughts, you can send them to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook. Right now, I can't say for sure if we're on Twitter because we had some problems with that account recently.
As of this recording, we do not have access to our Twitter account anymore. So, hey, if you're gonna try to reach out to us on Twitter, maybe don't do that anymore. and go over to Blue Sky instead. It's much better over there. I promise you. Or, any of the other social media stuff. We continue to have access to those as of now.
And of course, as we were talking about a lot in the month of June while we were taking our break, we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/neverseenapod. We've got 5 other shows that we do every single month over there. It's just $5 a month. Your support would mean the world to us. If you like this movie in particular, you might want to sign up for Patreon simply for listening to The Wayback Machine, where we end up in the 1960s a lot. And it's a randomizer. We don't know where we're going to end up. It's anywhere from 1960 to 2010, and we have to watch a movie that's in the theater at the time that we get dropped.
And as I mentioned, our Real Love show has a whole lot to do with relationships, and this is really where Betsy and I get deep down into character stuff, relationship stuff, and if you like the discussion that we had about these two people in Virginia Woolf, you will love the Real Love show.
So definitely check those out if you haven't already. But Trent, we have just started the Decade series for this year. We're going to be going to 1976 next week, which proved interesting because if you've been following the show, last year we guested on another podcast where we covered a whole bunch of 1976 movies. So we were like, do we even have any that we can cover for 76?
Do we have any movie from 1976 of significance that we haven't already seen? And we found one. And that's what we're doing next week. Next week, we're going to be covering the original Bad News Bears.
It's going to be a brand new movie for both of us. So come back next week for that episode. Until then, thank you for listening. My name is Betsy.
And my name's Trent.
And we'll see you then.